2010 will now come to order. Please remember the times indicated next to the agenda items are approximate times only. Please turn off all cell phones and pagers for the duration of the meeting. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Tell.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Snyder.
Here.
Councilman Moreno.
Here.
Councilman Benson.
Here.
Councilwoman Carson.
Here.
Councilwoman Teeter.
Here.
Please press your flashing button. Councilman Teeter, thank you. Councilman Johnson. Councilman McIntyre.
Here.
Councilman Bullock.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. And Councilman Johnson and Paul, we had a family event, so he will not be here. Okay, will the audience please rise for a moment of silence and then join me in reciting the pledge of allegiance. Okay, will staff please pass around the microphone so the audience can introduce themselves.
Wallflower.
Nancy Snyder.
Danny Thomas.
Benton Thomas.
Ann Statler.
I'm down.
Mike Gilsdorf.
Terry Purvis.
Robert Warren. Guillermo Stanley.
Jerry Quintana. Tobin Porto. Joy Bishop.
Gene Leffel.
Laura Neal.
Justin Davis.
Greg Clemens from the Police Department.
Steve Tim, City Planner. Ms. Ryan Cordero, Intergovernmental Relations.
Bill Walker, Chief of Police.
Brittany Morris, Director of Economic Development. Nanette Nealon, Deputy City Manager. Lynn Howell, City Manager's Office.
Thank you. Okay, next item is citizen communication. Showing 4 names tonight. There were 2 public comment rosters who were made available at the table at the entrance to the council chambers for those who wish to address council. 1 roster is for non-agenda items, and the second was for action items listed on the agenda. When I call your name, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Be reminded each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Council is reminded they are not to engage in discussion or debate, but may ask clarifying questions and express concern when appropriate. City manager will generally assign staff members to get the necessary information to solve any issues. The first person on the list, is it Tova? I'm sorry, Tova Forgo? Thank you. Good evening. Sorry I mispronounced it first.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much. I'm Tova Forgo, 7980 Olive Street, unincorporated Adams County. And I'm here on behalf of Community Enterprise, and just to remind all of you that this Friday is Derby Winter Festival, and it goes from 4 to 7, and we hope to see all of you there and greet the children, and the tree lighting is going to be at 5:30. It should be a wonderful event. We've sold 100 trees, and thank you very much for sponsoring one of them, and it should be a terrific time. I have a stack of posters, one for each of you, and also a few extra to post around City Hall. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Next person on the list, Robert Romine. Good evening, sir. Nice to see you out and about again.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Robert Romine, 6760 East 74th Avenue, Commerce City, Colorado, 80022, United States of America. This evening, I'm here to speak about an internet hoax that went on last week, and it was the true nature of this hoax that brings me here and wants to make this thing public, more public than it has been in the last week. People received a mass email from Facebook saying that they should change their profile pictures to a cartoon image to stand united against child abuse. When millions and millions of people did this, it was revealed that the hoax originated and was perpetrated by the NAMBA group, who are pedophiles, and they felt that it was more easily acceptable for a child to respond from a friend request if there was a cartoon face. So this was a very horrible attempt from a very evil group, as far as I'm concerned. And I want this to be made public. A lot of people received emails that it was a hoax, but I don't think as many people received emails telling them that was a hoax as received emails telling them to change the profile pictures. So that being what it is a sad and horrible thing that this has to occur. And off the subject, I would like to thank the city ahead of time for their assistance in the Hat and Glove campaign. Ms. Randall is going to speak with me tonight, and we hope to get the order in by Wednesday and help some people out. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, sir. Next person on the list is Shirley Frost. Good evening. She is doing real well.
I can swim now, I
All
can
right.
dance, I can do anything. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Shirley Curlis, and I live at 5721 East 67th Avenue, Commerce City. I'm still on my broomstick over uninsured drivers, okay? I addressed this with you before, and I heard some excuses. I didn't hear any solutions. Two things that really upset me was a comment that it's difficult to get the titles to the cars that they impound. Many things in life are difficult. It was difficult for me as a child to get an education. It was difficult for me to get a college education. So to me, that is not an excuse. The other one I heard was, and this truly upset me, is that many people on the city council are leaving soon, and so they just don't care. I cannot believe that there is any member on the city council that has that feeling. You know, we have checkpoints for drunk drivers around the holidays, and we have one for uninsured drivers. And I'm sure as soon as they see the sign, they're going to get on the exit just before they get there. And guess who should be sitting there? A police officer. I have one other question. Should a police officer stop someone that is uninsured and let them continue on driving away, and I'm in an accident with them? This is addressed to the two attorneys here. May I sue that police officer personally? What can be done? I know we have a lot of them here. Would it make any difference whether you listen to one voice or if I have a petition for hundreds signing it? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a few people, if you don't mind, don't go away yet. Mr. McIntyre?
I just got to see tonight. The new community, I'm not sure when the comments you're referring to were made, but I would be interested in having staff at least tell us the viability of such a campaign. I mean, I've been hit a couple times myself by an uninsured driver and pay bills out of pocket. And the first of those instances happened when I was in college, and you don't have a lot of cash to cover those expenses. So I certainly understand your concern in that regard. I guess to me the challenge is the feasibility of the process, and is it sustainable, is it supportable, what is the cost to the community versus the benefit of the community. Obviously, we can quickly rack up those benefits, but at the end of the day, what would it take to operate such a program? And so, without doing the research, we don't know the answer to that. We can only suspect that the benefits outweigh the cost. So, if it would be okay with the rest of the council, I would ask that at least a high-level readback be provided by Chief Baca and team on what that might look like. If there are examples of that being done anywhere else, or if it would be an area where it would be breaking new ground.
Okay. Let's go through the list, but that's a good idea, and I think that's probably where we're going to head. But let me run down the list, and then we'll come back to you, if that's okay, Mr. McIntyre? Okay. Ms. Snyder?
I totally agree with what your concerns are, and I think you and I have talked a little bit about it. But as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter if I have 5 years or 5 minutes left on this council. I'm always going to be concerned about the safety and welfare of our city. So I'm in agreement with Councilman McEldowney that we need to sit down with the chief and the police department and see what we can do about this problem. So I appreciate that you came back to see us again on this, and I think we need to find a way to come to some kind of resolve on this. So thanks.
Ms. Jeter?
Yes, hello Shirley, and you know me, as well as the others that are on your last term, that we do care. And I also believe in having the staff put a program together and some feedback on this, because I've been hit twice, and one totaled my car out, just to let you know. So I feel the same way you do. Thank you.
Mr. Bullock?
Hi, Shirley. I'm going to tell you, during the last week, a friend of mine that does have insurance but didn't have the insurance card in the car with them had their car towed by an officer. They were stopped. They were 2 blocks away from the house, and the car was towed. So I know that, and they said it's an officer's discretion to be able to do this. So I know that it is something that can be done. I agree with Mr. McAdowny and the rest of council. It's something that we can look into, and even if we can't tow all the cars away, I would like to see something where we might be able to mobilize them, put a boot on them, where when the person gets out of the car, they cannot drive away from that scene until they show proof of insurance. But as far as one person, this would have to be something brought back to us to make sure that we are within the legalities of everything. But I know it is done because I swear I got a call last week at a dinner I was at, and it had happened to somebody that was a friend of mine. And they had insurance, but they just didn't have it with them. And their car was towed away, and they paid $192 to get it back. And this is less than 24 hours that they got it back, and they still paid that much. So it's not something that's impossible. It's just something that maybe isn't done all the time.
Mr. Benson?
Yes, I agree with Mr. McIntyre and what everybody else has said. I'd like to ask Mr. Hager and Chief Baca, is that standard procedure where it's within the discretion of the officer if he stops somebody that has no proof of insurance? Is that the standard? Okay. How do we...
Chief Baca is indicating yes.
Okay. I wonder if we can make a distinction between people who actually don't have any insurance and those who have insurance but just don't happen to have the card or the document. How do we do that? Because even a paper document can be faked. With computers, copiers, everything else these days, it should be pretty easy to fake a paper document because somebody doesn't have that with them. I'm surprised that these things aren't keyed into the DMV records. But is there any way to distinguish between those two situations? Because obviously people should not be driving if they don't have insurance. If they don't have insurance and they take public transportation. It's just part of the cost of driving to and from wherever. You got to have insurance.
It is key to the state database. All insured drivers have to have proof of insurance. And therein lies the problem. That if we stop somebody and you don't have proof of insurance and there's no record with the state, even though you may have it, which occurs at times, that's the problem. Do you have it? Do you have adequate proof? Sometimes there is no adequate proof at the time, and that leaves the officer in a quandary. What do you do? And what's the situation? Was it merely a traffic stop? Was it an accident? Was it an accident with injuries? Are you 2 blocks from your home? I'm not familiar with the incident that Councilman Bullock is talking about. So you have a lot of unanswered questions. And so there is discretion in what officers do, as with almost every law that we seek to enforce.
Sure.
There's a vast amount of discretion. The problem is, we start towing everybody's car. Where do they go? Who pays for that?
That can be a problem. I don't know. It is a big problem. Some people have, I know in New Hampshire, your car insurance is paid out of your property taxes. I know some places that you pay more at the pump for a gallon of gas, so that when you buy your gas, you automatically have insurance.
So there are a number of different alternatives the council can come up with. We'll do whatever you choose, whatever ordinance you may pass. But when you start towing everybody's car, you'll need a lot of space. And somebody's got to pay for that space. Or we've got to pay for a contract, such as we pay today. We privately contract with Mirage Towing. So.
And you're enforcing state law. This is not a city ordinance. You're enforcing state law.
State law.
And I guess since this is a matter of statewide concern, Mr. Gator, is there anything else that the city can do that might add to or conflict with state law?
Before you answer, okay, Mr. Benson, right now we're in citizen communication. Mr. McEldowney has asked to have this looked into and have a report back to us. That would probably be the most effective rather than trying to settle it right here in citizen communication.
Well, can you, that's a yes or no, Mr. Gator. Or maybe it's yes and no.
Well, it is a state law, but there are some things that the city can do that is in conjunction with the state law.
Okay, Ms. Carson?
Well, my question was for the chief. Do I wait or do I? Anyway, anytime anybody is stopped, I'm under the understanding that you are asked to show proof. First of all, you have to have your driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance. Is that not correct, Mr. Gator?
That is correct. And then if they can't show proof of insurance, and I'll stand corrected if the chief disagrees with this, if the citation is issued for failure to show proof of insurance, when they come to court, if they bring in then the proof of insurance because they had it at home or didn't have it on their person, at that time then the court would dismiss the case if they actually have insurance. But the citation is issued, and then the court would dismiss it if they actually have insurance. Isn't that correct?
And if you show up to court without insurance, without proving you had it at the time and you have not purchased it, is your driver's license revoked?
Then the ticket, the charge remains in effect. Then it becomes a matter of points once you have on your record, that kind of thing.
And when we do these alcohol stops, anytime you're stopped, my understanding is those are the items that are requested from the residents. So surely, and not to sound that I'm not thinking we need to be more proactive, but I think our officers, anytime they are stopping, whether it's those checkpoints or anything, they are asking for that proof of insurance.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Flannery. I think we go back to what Mr. McElhenney asked. If we could, between you and the chief, come up with something that you can present at council, but I would like you to get in touch with Ms. Curlis before that time, because this will probably be a few weeks off. Let her know what we're doing right now. That will at least, I think the part that bothered me a little bit was that anybody out there would think that since there's 4 of us leaving in a year, that we'd stop working, because we're not. We're working harder now than we've ever worked this last year, because we have so much we need to accomplish before then. But if you could do that, I think that's going to be a lot easier, because we're not going to settle it here. This is for a future, and is that okay with you, Ms. Prince?
No.
We haven't forgotten it. It just isn't coming as fast as we would wish.
There's nothing worse than an old lady on a roof.
Oh, no. Listen, we want you here. You have no idea how much nicer you are than most. Thank you. Mr. Flannery, you're okay with direction? Great, thank you. Okay, then, Mr. Justin Davis, please. Good evening. Nice to see you again.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and members of the Commerce City community, my name is Justin Davis. I reside at 8180 Raleigh Place, Westminster, Colorado 80031. And I am currently serving as the Arts Academy Coordinator of Adams City High School. And I'm very honored to be with you. First of all, I come to you for a few reasons. I really wanted to say that we are very appreciative of the partnership that we have started to create with the Commerce City Cultural Council under the direction of President Diaz. I can't tell you how awesome it is that our paths are aligned and making sure that this community is enriched through meaningful art and tapping into the talents of this community. So thank you for that effort. When I assumed the position, I'm also a theater teacher at Adams City High School. When I assumed this position, one of the main goals that I had for our program was a level of community outreach that I think here too has not been through that program before. So what we've decided is we've partnered with Access Housing, which provides homeless support to this community and to the surrounding area. And we are doing a modified canned food drive. We're putting on a production, a Reader's Theater production of A Christmas Carol at the Adams City High School, with a portion of our proceeds to benefit Access Housing and, of course, Canned Good Admission. So I just wanted to verbally invite all of you in this room and hopefully spread the word. It's a pretty exciting and a wonderful partnership that I think we can all have together. And I brought a few posters for each of you and also copies of our official press release. And I cannot tell you how much we appreciate what you do for this community.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will make sure we get involved in that.
Excellent.
Who's sitting on Cultural Council? Now, would you make sure that that little attaboy gets back to you?
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. You don't get a lot of positives, and to get them out here is really nice. Appreciate it. Okay, there's only one set of minutes before council this evening, and they're the minutes for October 18th, 2010. Ordinarily, I'd ask for Mr. Johnson to be abstained, but since he's not here, it won't make any difference. I request a motion, Ms. Teeter.
Yes, move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting October 18th, 2010.
Ms. Snyder.
Second the motion.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve the minutes for October 18th, 2010. Is there any discussion, Mr. Bullock or Mr. McElhenney? No? Okay. Okay, I request a voice vote, please. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion passes. Minutes are approved. Okay, tonight there's 2 items on the consent agenda this evening. Council is reminded these items can be removed from the consent agenda for discussion purposes at the request of any council member. Does anyone wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I will go open for a motion. Mrs. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, move to approve the consent agenda. Council is seated.
Mr. McElhenney? Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Will the city attorney please read the title? Title.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, prior to doing so, I wanted to make sure the council has the new version of Resolution 2010-59 in front of you. There was, item 5 was added to the one that you had in your packet. So on the consent agenda is the one that you have in front of you. So, title of Resolution 2010-58 is Resolution regarding posting locations for ordinances and public meetings. Title of Resolution 2010-59 is a resolution canceling city council meetings that fall on officially scheduled city holidays. That's the consent agenda.
And a motion is second. City attorney has read the title. Requesting. Roll call. I'm not looking.
You're not looking.
I'm not.
Right now.
Yep, it is now. Okay, the vote is 8-0. Motion passes on the consent agenda. Thank you very much. We have one public hearing scheduled for this evening. I'll now open the public hearing on Z 455-87-10. City Manager Jerry Flannery, please invite staff up to review the case.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'd like to invite Steve Tibbs from the community development.
How are you doing this evening?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I have a quick presentation tonight on zoning case Z 455-87-10. Property applicant Nursery Acres is requesting a removal of zoning conditions on the property. The particular property here is currently zoned I-1, located on the southwest corner of 104th and Havana, 104th, just to the north here, I-76 directly to the west. The XL power line is directly to the south, and then the new Cummins facility is located just slightly to the east. The comp plan for this area does allow it to be office warehouse, and then the First Creek floodplain runs diagonally through the site. Again, here's the comprehensive plan. You'll see that the dashed line there represents the floodplain. The aerial picture here, this site has been utilized for tree nursery. As you can drive out 104th, there's several sites of it down in Havana from 104th, just in front of the power lines, evergreens, deciduous trees, etc. Little history on the site. Back in 1987, the property was annexed into the city and the county, and it was zoned I-1 with the conditions. Starting next spring, there's going to be some construction occurring on 104th Avenue along First Creek in this particular area. The final phase of 104th Avenue widening will begin, and the particular conditions on this property will need to be removed, or the city's construction activities will need to be approved by City Council through a specific development plan. A little note here that on this particular site, no development is imminent, but the applicant is requesting to remove these conditions in preparation for selling or for future development of the land. So this property, as stated, was zoned with 5 conditions back in 1987, and since that time the city's obviously evolved, and the particular land development activities have evolved as well. These conditions date back to the 1975 zoning ordinance, which was 2 zoning ordinances ago. And just a quick review of them. What's in black is what's stated in the actual ordinance. What's in red is just some analysis surrounding that. But the first 2 deal with development that occurs on the property. And well, I'm not going to read everything on here, just basically the conditions Planning Commission felt like were no longer needed, as the city does have stronger codes today. They have stronger regulations and processes that were not in place in the 1970s and 1980s. And these particular conditions do create uncertainty for buyers and sellers of the property, which could be perceived as not being business friendly. So that's properties A and B, or conditions A and B. Condition C describes requiring a development agreement for future installation of public improvements. That public improvement agreement has been finalized and approved, so that condition is no longer necessary. And then D and E conditions refer to residences that at one time were on this property. There are no residences today, no structures on this property. Therefore, conditions D and E are no longer needed, no longer apply. So in the Planning Commission hearing, some analysis that they had was that the conditions or removals are necessary for the construction of 104th Avenue and for the channelization of First Creek, which will help this property develop and take some of it out of the floodplain. The removal will make the property easier to sell and develop in the future, be more business friendly, especially in the hard economic times. And we do have processes and standards that are in place to ensure quality development in the future, similar to what occurred with the Cummins site, et cetera. And then there's several conditions that are just simply no longer applicable and are no longer needed. During the posting comment period for this property, there were no public questions or concerns received by the Community Development Department. And then on November the 3rd, Planning Commission did hear this case. They took testimony. They voted 5-0 to send this request to City Council tonight with a favorable recommendation. And with that, my presentation is concluded. I'll be happy to answer any questions. And in addition, we're representative from the applicant here to address City Council as well.
Any questions or comments from council?
We have Mr. Gilsdorf, representing the applicant.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Mike Gilsdorf, and I reside at 6355 West Lakeside Court in Logan, Colorado, 80125. I'm one of the partners of the Richard Limited Partnership. I'll give you a little bit of history on how all this got going. It was initiated by me a few years ago. What we did do, since our property is in the floodplain of First Creek, is we decided to apply for a flow mark, which would put a channel through our property and leave us out of our 15 acres with 10 acres or so out of the floodplain and have First Creek channel. So we applied to the city. The city of Carmel City approved that flow mark. And then went to urban drainage, and then went to federal government, and we got a final approval for this flow mark. Then a year or so later, the planning staff gave me a call, and we held a meeting. And it turns out that our Clomar is designed such that the new 4-lane bridge that they're going to put over I-76 and 104th, our Clomar had our channel for all that water to go directly into the main bridge abutment for that bridge. And so that's when we got to talking how we're going to resolve that. Also, our property, we own a strip of land that is needed for 104th. And so we all decided that the best thing to do is just cooperate and see if we couldn't have a win-win situation here. So we agreed to give the property for the dedication at no charge. And we agreed to allow for flow mark to be changed. And the city found out that they could do that channel at an extremely reasonable cost. That would be almost a non-noticeable addition to the cost of that bridge, much cheaper than trying to buy our property, all that sort of thing. And so we thought, well, that's like a win-win thing. We'll get our channel, they'll get the bridge, and everybody will. And so that's how this all got going. In the process, I was informed by Steve that we have these old zoning regulations, and would I go through the effort to change those? And so I said, sure, and I asked him how I go about it. And I really have to compliment the planning staff. They did just an awesome job. I didn't have to hire a land planner, and I didn't have to hire a lawyer, and I didn't have to do much of anything except write a little letter and fill out an application. Give Steve $760. Whatever I'm going to speed he had. And your staff took over and did the whole process. So it was really a very friendly situation, and I just have to comment on whole city and especially the planning staff.
Well, thank you very much. I really like hearing that, Mr. Flannery. I'm sure everybody gets that halfway on that one too. Thank you, sir. Any comments? Seeing that, Mr. McElveen. Oh, no, okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Is there anyone from the audience who wishes to come forward to testify on this particular item? Seeing none, I had it. Sorry, John. But it's gone. We'll close the public hearing. I'll now open for motion. Mr. McElveen? Move to accept the findings of the planning commission. Okay, findings and recommendations. Yes, Ms. Teeter?
Second motion?
Okay, Ms. Teeter has a second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? May I have a voice vote, please? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion passes to accept the findings and recommendations of the planning board. Now entertain a motion to approve Z 455-87-10. Ms. Snyder?
Yes, move approval of motion Z 4558710.
Thank you, Ms. Teeter.
Second motion?
That motion is second to approve Z 455-87-10. Will the city attorney please read the title?
Title of this ordinance reads, an ordinance amending ordinance Z-455-87 by deleting zoning conditions for the property described in Exhibit A, attached hereto made a part hereof and located at the southwest corner of 104th Avenue and Havana Street, Commerce City, Colorado.
Okay. Request a roll call vote, please. That's okay, vote is 8-0, ordinance 1837 in, oh wait, it would be Z 455-87-10. Thank you. I have it in front of me, and it's just look there instead.
Thank you.
Are you okay with that? I mean, you can just change that administrative. Okay. There's 3 resolutions that were not included in the consent agenda because they require a separate voice vote. The first is Resolution 2010-68, a resolution approving access easements to Tri-State Generation and Transmission Association Incorporated. Now I ask City Attorney Gaylor to explain this resolution.
Okay, Resolution 2010-68 has 2 exhibits attached to it, and one of those exhibits is still under review by my office as well as Public Works, and therefore the request is made to continue Resolution 2010-68 to December 20th, 2010. We should have will have the exhibit in proper order by that date so that the council can properly consider the resolution at that time.
Okay. So do we need a vote or anything to move that? Do I need a motion to move it?
We need a motion to continue it to December 20th, 2010.
Okay. Mr. McElveen, will you make that motion? So moved. Ms. Snyder?
Second motion.
A motion and a second to move this particular item to December, what was it, 20th? Voice vote, all in favor? Oh, Mr. Bullock. Sure.
Ms. Gaylor, one question.
Sure.
Ms. Gaylor, on our agenda, it showed it as part of the public hearing. It is not a public hearing item?
Not a public hearing. That item will be treated as just a regular resolution. It's not a public hearing in the sense that it's advertised as a public hearing as you just observed with the zoning ordinance. So that will be moved to an appropriate place on December 20th on your agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Got a motion and a second to move it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion passes. Thank you. The second is Resolution 2010-69, resolution approving extension rebates and benefits for economic development. Now, as City Manager Jerry Flannery invites staff to come forward to discuss Resolution 2010-69.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'd like to ask Brittany Morris, Economic Development Director. She has a brief presentation.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council, Brittany Morris, Director of Economic Development. And I'm here tonight to officially ask for a 6-month extension of our incentive package. As you know, we've not only had a number of businesses and residents and home builders take advantage of this program, but we've also received national attention on the matter. City Manager Flannery and myself are traveling to Atlanta this Thursday to speak to the Atlanta Regional Commission. They're actually paying for us to fly out there and stay and speak to them about the success of our program. We've brought a number of incentive agreements to you for your approval, and those total above $500,000 and have created nearly 250 new jobs. We have a few more applications in the hopper that we hope to bring to you in the coming weeks, and those will bring our total to a lot more than $500,000. We've mailed over 2,500 residents who had pulled building permits, primarily due to the hailstorm back in May. We mailed them to let them know about the program. We've received over 300 applications as a result of that mailer. And those came in the form of applications over the past 2 weeks. So we do ask your patience and the patience of our residents as we go through those. We have one person, Michelle Hill, in my office actually working on these. So again, ask your patience as we go through those, but we've seen some great results as part of the postcard. And with that, I will ask for a 6-month extension through June 1st, 2011. The incentives will benefit existing business, new business within our target industries, new and existing grocery and restaurants, and then the homeowners and home builders. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. However, I do want to note that it is the same exact program that you unanimously approved back in May. That's what we will be extending through June of next year. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Miller, did you have a question? Okay. Just do it. Same thing.
Question.
Question? Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Thanks, Brittany. I just had a couple of questions. The rebates that residents apply for example, the people of North who have had hailstorm damage, if they, went ahead and did those improvements but didn't know about the incentive program, they can apply for that retroactively, correct?
Yes, they can apply through June 1st, 2011.
Great. And the extension just means for new people that haven't taken advantage of the incentive program, correct? It wouldn't. People that have already taken advantage of it in the first 6 months are eligible again, correct?
Yes. We actually, when you look at the package itself, the summary, it says that if you have an existing incentive agreement with the city, you are not eligible to apply it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have to go for a motion. Mrs. Teeter.
Yes, move to approve resolution 2010-68.
And with great excitement and happiness for everything that you're doing, I gladly second that motion.
Motion to second to approve resolution 2010.
And it's 2010-69. Oh, 69, yeah, 69, yeah.
Well, do you have a comment or?
I will second the motion.
Okay, Mr. Marino.
Just one more comment, yeah.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Just for your knowledge, Brittany, I did talk to a few people at the National League of Cities conference this week about the incentive program, and there were cities from different places around the country that were really excited and really impressed with the program. So just, obviously, that going to Atlanta and everything, but, they were very impressed with your program. So thank you.
It's great to hear. Thank you very much.
I have a motion in a second. We've had discussion on the city
Title reads, resolution approving extension rebates and benefits for economic development.
We have a motion in a second. City Attorney's read the title. Request the voice vote, please. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next resolution is 2010-70, a resolution accepting a intergovernmental agreement for conveyance of South Adams County Water and Sanitation District of augmentation water in exchange for augmentation water credits. Say that. Now ask City Attorney Our city manager, Jerry Flannery, invites staff to come forward and discuss this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I think Tom Curtis will
Evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I just wanted to offer a little bit of background on this especially for those who were not on council when we first started this project. When we acquired the Prairie Gateway project, we needed to work with South Adams County Water on water for the Prairie Gateway. It was not technically in the general service area or the historic portion of where South Adams provided service. And as a part of the 2004 intergovernmental agreement between Commerce City and South Adams County, we agreed to acquire augmentation water, or water that we replaced from what they're pumping from the ground that would eventually flow into the South Platte River to cover the irrigation needs on the Prairie Gateway project. We estimated at that time we need about 450 acre feet. Since then, we've been watching it carefully and closely, and we think the 235 acre feet that we've so far purchased, given the existing needs that have been out there and what we've been utilizing and what we anticipate in the future from typical irrigation, should pretty much cover us. And in addition to that agreement, we were to transfer that water to South Adams County's ownership. We've been working on getting the final documentation ready. The purchase water that we acquired a few years ago called Dunbar shares of some ditch shares is the last piece that we're trying to get the documentation done, and that's what this IGA allows us to do. So with that, I would be glad to answer any questions.
Questions from council? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion at this time. Mr. Bullock, can you make that motion?
Yes, make a motion to approve resolution 2010-70, council decision.
Thank you, Mr. McInerney. Second motion. Been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2010-70. Any further discussion? Seeing none, will the city attorney please read the title?
Title reads, Resolution 2010-70, resolution approving intergovernmental agreement for conveyance to South Adams County Water and Sanitation District of augmentation water in exchange for augmentation water credits.
Okay, I have a motion and second. City attorney serve the title. Request a voice vote, please. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is ordinance on first reading. There's three ordinances actually tonight on first reading. The first is ordinance 1837, an ordinance amending the 2011 budget of the City of Commerce City, Colorado by the recognition of the Vail grant in the amount of $36,606. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the council on this ordinance? Is there any discussion from the City Council? Now I'll entertain a motion. Ms. Teeter?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, move approval of ordinance 1837.
Okay, Mr. McInerney? Second motion. Got a motion and a second to approve ordinance 1837. Is there any further discussion? Yes. Let's see. 1 second. Okay. Mr. Marino?
Just a quick question regarding this ordinance, and it doesn't specifically relate to the actual ordinance, but I believe in the Victim Services Program that myself and Mr. McEldowney are the appointees on that board, but in my year on council, I haven't heard anything about that board or its general direction. I was just wondering if I could request a report from staff on that matter.
I can actually speak to that, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, great.
I don't know we talked about that, I don't know that, now that I think about it, that you received a communication, there was a meeting about 6 weeks ago that you used the charter of the organization and next steps. I believe we actually recall was Tuesday to review progress on that. I will make sure that we receive that.
Thank you.
Mr. Benson?
Yes, I was just looking at the summary. It looks like the bail grant is going to be $36,606. Did we already get the victim advocate budget of $106,090? We already received that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think
We did receive.
confusing part is that it says expenditure required for this resolution is $142,696, and this is a recognition of a grant. It's kind of confusing that it required an expenditure.
This expenditure is the salary of the second individual we hired as victim advocate.
All right. Is this normally the way that, I just haven't seen that, the recognition of a grant?
Yes.
They say that there's an expenditure required. Is that a problem? Okay. All right. Is how the grant's going to be spent. Yes.
Hoping for we have the first and second. Have a discussion with City Attorney, please read the title.
Title reads ordinance 1837, an ordinance amending the 2011 budget of the City of Commerce City, Colorado by the recognition of the Vail grant in the amount of $36,606 for the support of the Community Justice Program and the authorization of the expenditure thereof.
Okay, that motion is second. City Attorney, read the title. Request the roll call vote, please. Mr. Flannery, can we take just a short break? And could we have maybe you come forward and Tom come up here just for a second? And talk to Tracy. We'll just be on a break real quick. They just have a question for you about the physical plan rather than anything else.
It's just that we can smell gas up here, JB and I, and we're just wondering if it's coming up from the heater or what it is, but we smell, I don't know if someone from maintenance can come up or what, but we smell a strange odor. It's not you, is it, Jim? We just want to make sure we're not getting gassed out up here for something unnatural. Thank you, sorry.
Jim, come on. Come on, Jim.
Okay, yeah, well, I'm break. Now I will wait till you get back.
Just wondering if it's that single smell that we lot of things We'll have someone check it out tomorrow.
He's going.
Thank you, gentlemen, for helping us out with that.
And We're going to get back as soon as Mr. Bullock gets back, so it'll just be a minute. Just go, you think? Okay. Did you have? Okay, good. Okay, the next is ordinance, where are we? 1845. An ordinance adopting with amendments those provisions previously codified in Article 2 of Chapter 18 entitled Police Pension Fund of the Code of Ordinances. Am I okay? Of the City of Commerce City. Will the City Attorney please explain ordinance 1845?
All right. In the way of background, actually all we're talking about with this ordinance is Section 2 of the ordinance, Item 5. The reason you have the whole provision dealing with the police pension fund in front of you is that we didn't want to piecemeal this ordinance because it wasn't codified in our code of ordinances, and it's a standalone ordinance. So if you amend it and you have two separate standalone ordinances, it's just harder to track. So this ordinance includes everything dealing with the police pension fund. But all that's being amended is Item 5 of Section 2, and I'll paraphrase that for you. What we've run into in the police pension fund is that the ordinance as it exists now, without the amendment, requires a retiree in the police, from the police department to serve on the police pension board. Well, the problem that we've encountered is that there aren't that many retirees out there that are available to sit on the police pension board. And our previous member, who was sitting on the police pension board, has not been in good health, has not been able to attend the meetings. So we're missing one person that would sometimes be needed to constitute a quorum. So what number 5 does, if you're following me there, of Section 2, it provides that a retiree would serve, but if there's not a retiree available, then the police department can then determine that an active member of the police department can sit in the place of the retiree, so that therefore we would have our full complement, our full possibility of quorum to be present. So that's what this ordinance does, and the police pension board has reviewed it, and they're recommending their approval to the city council, and it will help the board to always have a quorum present for their meetings. They meet quarterly, and it's a very active board because they meet religiously every quarter and review the situation and the investments of the police pension fund. So this ordinance would allow us to have a different approach as to who can serve on the police pension board.
Okay. Discussion from council, Ms. Carson?
Am I understanding this correctly, Mr. Gaylor, that there will be somebody from the police at all times sitting on that board?
Yeah, it's without saying, we have 2 active police officers who now sit, and then we have 2 others, one designated by the city manager, or the city manager himself, and the finance director, or his designee, so that makes us 4. And then we need to have this commissioned member of the police department who is a retiree present, unless there's not one available. Then there would be a 3rd member of the police department active sitting on the board. because their representatives, two of them on the police pension board, and they communicate with their officers quite regularly, and they're in favor of having, to be certain that the police have adequate representation on the board. This would give them the possibility of having a third active officer on the board.
Okay. Mr. Marino?
Was the member of that represented the retiree, police retiree community, I guess I'll call it, was he present when they decided to forward this to City Council?
No, he hasn't been able to come to our meetings probably for the last 6 months.
Okay.
Mr. Marino? I was prepared to make a motion if there's more discussion. Okay, I was prepared to make a motion. Yeah. Actually, I have to go to the audience first to see if there's anyone out there who wishes to address council on this particular ordinance. Okay, seeing none, open for the motion and Ms. Teeter and then Mr. Michael.
Yes, move to approve ordinance 1845.
Second, second motion. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's see, Attorney, please read the title.
Title reads, Ordinance 1845, an ordinance adopting with amendments those provisions previously codified as Article 2 of Chapter 18, entitled Police Pension Fund of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Commerce City.
And a motion and a second. City Attorney's read the title. Request for roll call vote, please. Okay, the vote is 7-1. Ms. Moreno, the only no vote. The motion passes. Thank you very much. Next ordinance is ordinance 1846. Ordinance amending the 2011 budget of the City of Commerce City, Colorado by the recognition of the Colorado Automobile Theft Prevention Authority Board grant award in the amount of $17,357. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on this particular ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, if I might, Mr. Moreno wanted to explain his no vote.
If I could.
That's
Okay, the only reason why I voted no is because considering it is a pension fund, I do feel that aspect from a retired member of the police force is really valuable. And I'm just worried that since that person was not present, that the retired community might not have as much of a voice as they should. So that's where I think that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I apologize, I caught your name late.
No.
Seeing no one, if there's no one in the audience who wishes to address, is there any discussion from City Council on this particular bill? If not, I'll entertain a motion to introduce ordinance 1846 by council. Ms. Snyder?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, move approval of ordinance 1846. Council is seated.
Mr. McEldowney? Second motion. I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 1846. Will City Attorney please read the title?
Title reads, Ordinance 1846, an ordinance amending the 2011 budget of the City of Commerce City, Colorado by the recognition of the Colorado Automobile Theft Prevention Authority Board, CATPA, grant award in the amount of $17,357 for cameras, overtime costs, warranty fees, training, and administrative fees to provide continued assistance with the recovery of stolen vehicles and authorization of the expenditure thereof.
Okay. Then motion is second. City Attorney's read the title. We're going to roll call vote, please. Opposed, 8 yeses. Ordinance 1846 is passed. Thank you very much. We only have one item on council business, and it's a lease agreement for the Historical Society for the service station located at 7450 Highway 2, Commerce City, Colorado. Mr. Flannery, if you bring staff to come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'd like to invite Ms. Rhonda Cordero to make this presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. On October 25th, 2010, the Historical Society presented to City Council an overview of their organization and future goals. With their presentation, they also presented a request to the City Council to approve their use of the service station located at 7450 Highway 2 in Commerce City for storage purposes and for administrative purposes. That evening, City Council directed staff to work with members of the Historical Society to fulfill their request. Therefore, staff has prepared a lease agreement and is hereby presenting it to Council for your reviews and comments. In order to have the premises in the correct order to make the transfer for the Historical Society, a number of items belonging to the Police Department, Evidence Unit, and also the Buildings Division of the city which are being stored there currently had to be removed. So since we had City Council direction, we've ordered 3 storage units which are going to be parked at the Municipal Services Building. In order to have, 2 of them are going to house Police Department, Evidence Unit items, and the other one is going to house the Building Division items. I provided in the council communications a copy of the lease. In terms of next steps, provided we take into account whatever comments you have or questions, we're going to remove, we're going to make sure that we obtain the 3 containers. The cost of the 3 containers was $18,700. Once we obtain the containers and park them at Municipal Services, we're going to transfer the items that are being stored at the service station into those containers. Then we're going to arrange a time to sign the lease with the Historical Society representatives, and then issue a certificate of occupancy allowing the Historical Society to store items there and also to have to perform administrative tasks out of that property. With that, I'll take any questions you have.
What is the fire protection on this building right now?
Mr. Clements, can I answer that question?
Sprinkler? Is it a wood building or a masonry building or?
Steel frame, it's got a alarm system, that's all, no alarm sprinkler system.
Well, I guess that's up to the Historical Society. It sounds like they're going to be storing a lot of very historical documents in this one location, and the fire could be really devastating. I guess that's something that I think it's a good idea that we're going to lease this building to.
Hi, yes, thank you. The cost of the lease for the Historical Society, it would be enough to at least cover the storage costs for the city, right? It isn't?
The cost of the lease is $10 per year.
Okay. Well, the society is a good organization. And inside, is it ready for them to hold meetings and all for administration type business? Or they'll do that then?
The use they requested was not to hold meetings, they requested it to write grants.
Right, grants? Okay, thank you.
The only thing that caught my ear was evidence was going into the unit that's going out to the service center. Is it things for the evidence, or is it actual evidence?
My understanding is these are items that belong to the evidence unit.
Okay. Not evidence itself. Okay. Did you want to say something, Chief?
There are evidentiary items. It's not the type of evidence that needs more security. These are very tangible things. What we had stored over there were stolen windows and doors, frames of that nature, nothing sensitive that would dissipate in any fashion. They were large items, that's why they were there.
And will those units be alarmed?
No, they're not alarmed, but they're very secure.
Are
We
they?
already have a unit
Okay.
just like that at the MSC.
Okay.
And it's perfect.
Okay.
We have no concerns over safety or security.
Not a problem. If you're not concerned, then I'm not concerned. I caught evidence and that just sparked something from the olden days. So thank you for explaining that. Any other comments from council? And you don't need any action from us. You just tell us what you're doing, right?
Right, that's correct. Yeah.
Perfect.
Just to make sure we're on the same page as what the city council intended here and moving forward then.
Okay. Mr. Marino, and then Mr. Chief.
Just want to say I'm excited about the work on this front. Historical Society is obviously one of those organizations that I think the community is very excited about, and I'm glad that we were able to help.
Just to make it clear, this is really a facility to use for storage. It won't be open to the public because otherwise there are other issues involving the disabled citizens rules of the federal government. And the only ones that would be admitted then would be members of the Historical Society for storage purposes, and there was one other minor purpose that they were going to use it for. Was that? Pardon me? Yes, to use it for their office, just to sit and write grants. That was the other thing. But it's not open to the public. Otherwise, there are other severe issues that come into play with remodeling and restroom facilities and that kind of thing.
Yes, just to make it clear, the reason I was asking questions about the lease, this discussion took place the night that my grandson was born, and so I had not heard of that yet, so thank you, sir.
Yes, as a member of the Historical Society, I just want to say how great I think this partnership is between the city and the Historical Society. They have big plans and a lot of exciting things going on, and I just want to say how proud I am of all of them and the hard work that they've done. So I see you over there, and I want to say thank you so much, and I am very excited to continue to work with the group. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Do you have anything else? Okay. Thank you.
I think Ms. Stevens wants to say something.
Feel free to come forward.
I wanted to thank you all very much. I wanted to clarify one thing. We have had some people look at it a week or so ago. One person, they're all younger, and it was suggested that maybe we could get an engineer and an architect in there to look at it and see if there's any potential way that we could do a little museum there. If we do, if it looks like that's possible, we won't do anything until we've met with the city. But I just wanted you to know there are going to be some construction people looking at it.
Mr. Gale.
And if that occurs, and I have been privy to some of those discussions or was aware of them, then we just simply amend the lease and come back to you for that information.
Okay. That fine. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is administrative council business. Remember, this is not reports. This is where you have a request for some kind of action from the council or from staff. Mr. Bullock.
Yes, sir. I got word that next week that the pool in the rec center is closing for some roof work being done. Can anybody give me any information about what kind of work is being done in the pool area for the roof?
Actually, it's Councilmember Bullock. It's the
combination of, we're putting on a pool cover as part of our energy savings program that we did through the energy audit that we did earlier this year. And then also we're going to try to get some repairs done to the slide as well so that we can extend the life of that slide.
Okay, thank you. This next one is probably for Ms. Morris. There's been a rumor circulating around, and I don't know how much truth it has to it, that there's talk that the thrift store is, I don't know, I just heard talk that they might be closing. Have you heard anything of this nature?
Brittany Morris, Director of Economic Development. I've been coordinating with Charlene Meeker on that issue. I don't have an update tonight, but we'll definitely do it again. I've heard that they've been considering a move, but that's the extent of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I don't know whether we've discussed this before regarding property being foreclosed on. People don't pay their mortgage, they're not paying their water bill, they move out, the grass dies, and the whole neighborhood looks bad. What can we do to require the foreclosing lender to keep the property up to speed? He's going to pay the water bill so that the sprinkler system can continue to work. What can we do? I don't know how we make that, any lien that we might get superior to the lien of the first mortgage, but what, I'd just like to know what we could possibly do, and if you get the staff to look into that and come back with some recommendation. I'm sure we wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel, because I'm sure that's been done in some jurisdictions, but it has been a problem. I see all the time.
Mr. Flannery, if it's okay with council, can we put that on a future meeting for things that we could do? And Mr. Marino, I'm going to let you make a comment, because you want to comment on this, but at least I want to get it started. Would that be something that you could do to maybe give us a little report? Because it is a problem throughout not only our city, but the whole metro area.
You bet. And it's something that staff continues to struggle with, because we do send letters to the owner of the property, and in this case, the banks, and usually do not get any kind of reply. And it's an issue, and I think we should look into it and try to figure it out.
Would that be okay with you, Mr. Benson? We'll get this all worked out.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the only way that you can put teeth into it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Together, is that you got to have something that's going to be superior to the lien of the first mortgage. And that means whatever we do now is only going to have prospective effect, because it will predate the first mortgage recommendation. And so I don't know that we can go back in and say, you've got to do this now because we're not superior to the lien of the first. But anyway, that's just, I'd like to, the staff can study that and come back with some possible solution to prevent that from happening. Because I know one of the members of our staff had to put in a complete new yard, because his yard was dead, because the foreclosing entity didn't water it at all, and all the grass died. And that's an expensive proposition. It's a lot less expensive to water it during that period of time than it is to have to completely replace the grass.
Marina, do you have a comment on that one?
Yeah, if I could provide some added direction to staff. The 9 News did a story on a similar issue a few months back. The city of Aurora actually has an ordinance on the books that creates, for when a property is foreclosed on, the bank must register that property with the city. And what that does is it creates a paper trail, so when inspectors go out, like neighborhood services, they have up-to-date information on who they notify, and in order to, maybe get a better response from the bank. So you might want to take a look at maybe Aurora's current ordinance.
Okay. Anyone in council have a challenge? Okay. Mr. Flannery, is that a direction for you? Okay. Mr. Bullock, did you have something else?
Yeah. Today it was brought to my attention that a gentleman that has a property in town that he is currently remodeling and he has notice in the window that he got from the city that he's doing work, so he paid the permit fee and everything. But the neighborhood service came by and gave him issued him, it's not a summons, but a warning. And he was saying, when you have a permit in the window and you're taking like tubs out and putting different cabinets and stuff in and it's sitting by your back door, that's permissible? Because he said he really didn't know what the rule was, but he thought when you were doing active work on your house, that, and if a permit in the window, that neighborhood service shouldn't have been giving him a warning for that and telling him that he had till the 16th or he was going to give a summons to get all this out of here, and he was confused.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Bullock, if I can get the details, I can follow up staff just so we can get back to you.
Okay, I'm ready to sit and discuss this after the meeting.
Okay.
I did. I had a concern from a constituent raised about when a property is zoned single family. However, if a property owner then goes and essentially remodels a garage or remodels a large shed in their backyard for residential purposes, that according to our, she was told that according to our non-development code that there is no restriction against that. I just wanted to request a study item to look at it from a policy issue if the council would like to continue with that, or if we would like to put on some kind of restriction about adding extra residential units in single-family properties.
I think it's probably something that's already been handled, but yeah, it might be a good idea to bring up because we've had this problem.
I know that we've had numbers of residence restrictions in the past in different ordinances. And I believe that this issue has been discussed at length. I can provide you that data, but we can come back and bring a presentation to council to see what direction we would like to go.
That'd be great. That work with you?
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Any problem, Council? Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I received several phone calls from some of the citizens in my area that I guess neighborhood services must have been doing a grid or whatever on the trash cans. And apparently the ordinance was passed back in August, I want to say, that trash cans could not be seen from the driveways from the street. You couldn't see the trash cans on non-trash days. And a lot of people were upset about it because they guess they hadn't gotten notice or didn't understand, and so they got warning notices all up and down my blocks, and I think a few of the blocks around. So I was just wondering if, I don't know if that made the city news or not, but if it didn't, possibly city manager's wondering if we could get that back in for this next time around, just to remind everyone that that is an active ordinance now, and that we do have, what the details of that are, so that everybody knows. So from what I was told, there were multiple warning violations that went out on that one. So
And we're also working on a different approach to making that residences aware of those types of things, in addition to the newsletter.
Okay, that'd be great. And in all honesty, I didn't, I am sure that I knew about it at one point, but it didn't occur to me either. And so it was requested I suggested to several people that I talked about that I would schedule a ward meeting at the first of the year for our ward, in the South, and see if anyone else wants to be involved, they're welcome to be, that we could get some of this stuff, discussed too as well. But like I said, several citizens were upset and felt like that they weren't notified. So just want to make sure I get that word out there to everybody so they'll know what the rules are and they can make sure they take care of that kind of stuff. Thanks.
I have one request from council. I would like to see, just happened to get a copy today of the neighborhood news, which was at a community enterprise, and there's a story in there they're talking about snow removal, and it's going to start soon, but it hasn't started yet. But one of the things that they have in here is talking about pushing the snow into the street because it allows it to come along and push it back. The challenge has been, and what I'm asking council to give approval for staff, is to get in touch with state roads because I know on Highway 2, we get all those businesses, and we tell them we want them to clear their sidewalks, and they do, and then the state comes through and piles them all back up on the sidewalks again, and by that time, it's all ice. And I don't know if all of those streets have like a piece of road before the curve that maybe we can make some kind of variance where they can put the snow in that piece before it hits the sidewalk. And I know every year, I've been here for 6 years, and every year we do the same thing. As soon as we call them, they double the snow onto the sidewalks. But maybe with a new governor who is more customer service friendly, we might get a better response this year. So if it's okay with council that staff somehow gets a hold of whoever does those state roads. I don't think we have that problem with our city people, but we sure do going up and down Highway 2 and some of those others. Anybody in council have a challenge with that? Ms. Snyder?
Actually, I do have that exact same problem on 60th because my house is literally on 60th. And there have been multiple times last winter when I would send my son out to shovel the snow, and then the plow would come by and dump it all back up there again, and I actually got a violation more than once. So that is highly frustrating for us because by the time it comes back, it's solid ice, and he's out there in the dark trying to shovel that ice. So if we could take a look at that in the Public Works Department on 60th and some of the other major roads and make sure that that doesn't happen. I personally, and I'm sure others would be highly grateful. Thanks.
Okay, next item is reports. Mr. Bullock.
Okay, what I can remember since the last time we had a meeting and what I attended, the Congressman City Business and Professional Party was Friday. The city Christmas party was Saturday, and both of them were absolutely fantastic. Ms. Peter and Mr. Marino were mistress and masters of ceremonies at the Congress City Business and Professional Associations, and both gave good talks on their topics, and Ms. Peter made it through without crying, which was an absolute Christmas miracle. Okay. Also last week was the National League of Cities, and Denver was the host city for it. And I hope that we maneuver the whole city again, because what I found out, it is not easier to be in the whole city. You spend more time going more places when it's in your own city than you do when it's someplace else, and you can go back to your hotel room and relax and everything. I am using this week at work just to rest up from last week.
Thank you, sir. And I think we all agree with you. Mr. McIntyre. I'm sorry, Mr. Flannery.
Oh.
I just, for some reason,
Whatever your pleasure is.
our pleasure is that everybody will only talk for a minute, but that never happens.
Well, I've only got a couple of things. Wanted to remind the council and the public that city staff is on a food drive, and what you see in the back of the room is the boxes that the different departments put together in creative minds. I sent out an email, you may remember, but Public Works won the contest with the train back here. So, nice. That gets worth another round. IT came in second. You can see there, I think it's Wally, the robot. And then finance, man came in third. And all the rest of them did great. And we look forward to beating the record on our food drive this year, and we're off to a great start. Great article today in the Post on Victory Crossing, the changing of the name. I sent that out to all of you, so you might read that with interest. And then I know that Councilman Bullock just talked about how he's not been back at council for so long, but I wanted to bring up another meeting, December 27th, which is the meeting between Christmas and New Year's. We typically don't have that meeting, and right now the agenda is non-existent. So I don't know if the council wants to look at canceling that or not. We can come back with an ordinance probably the next 2 meetings to do that. But just wanted to make sure that we're aware of that. So you don't get to that point and go, oh, we forgot.
How about if I have Ms. Peters the next one to talk, and I'll have her raise the motion, and get it right out of the way.
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Gale. Okay, Ms. Peters.
Yes, I move to
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
cancel the December 22nd, 2010 council meeting. 27, okay, heck, I was going to do more.
You want to second that?
I'll second that.
The motion is second to cancel the meeting December 27th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Handled? Thank you, sir. Anything else, Ms. Peters?
Just quickly, attended many important training classes at NLC, and the noise one was very important too, and Renee Bullock was there along with me. And the people that are knocking these light poles down on Highway 2, two of them that was replaced for over $15,000 by the time you add all the expenses and everything to it. I want to thank Steve Smith from Exxon Energy, Greg Clements, and Glenn Ellis for moving forward with this. Thank you.
Ms. Snyder?
Just to join in, NLC being in Denver was insane. I had this idea that it being here in our own hometown would make things easier. Not a chance. It's so much harder because you're going back and forth between home and meetings and home and meetings and meetings and dinners and lunches. And I attended all kinds of stuff. Public Safety Crime Prevention had a whole afternoon and they had a dinner. I was fortunate to be invited to the NLC Board of Directors dinner, which was hosted by Pat Bull, and it was fantastic. There were so many great people at that evening that I got to meet, and really a fantastic evening with Mayor Hickenlooper, and really welcoming to all of the attendees that came to NLC. And the host board did a wonderful job, including our own Brittany Morris, and I want to send a shout out to Brittany for all her hard work that she did. So, yay, Brittany. It's not easy putting something like that together. And also Eric Tate, who's councilman from Thornton, also was a participant in raising a lot of funds for bringing NLC to Denver. So it was one of the craziest and longest weeks of my life. It's been a couple of weeks. I don't know if I had mentioned that the mayor and I attended the Employee Years of Service lunch at Buffalo Run a couple of weeks back, but that was a really great event. And I know there's another one coming up pretty soon that I'll plan on being at as well. But I thought that it was really a great way to get to know a little bit more about the employees, not just that, this employee's been there for 10 years or 15 years, but actually hear a little bit from the department head and then from the employee themselves about their lives and some of the things that they do outside of their everyday work. And so it was really great. And I wanted to thank City Manager Flannery for that opportunity, because it gets you more information, gets you to know the employee a little bit better, than just knowing how many years of service they've been here. So it's a really great program, so thank you for that. Attended the CCBPA dinner and also the employee holiday party, which the Employee Activity Committee is to be commended for that. Please extend my congratulations to them for a very fun, and they just did a great job. So to Marvin and everyone that was involved in that, City Manager Flannery, please extend our congratulations. They did a great job. And finally, I want to make sure that I invite everyone to come tomorrow night here to City Hall at 6 o'clock. It is the opening of the Hometown Holidays, and it's sure to be a great event. It will start outside and then move inside, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I want to extend that invitation and invite everyone to come out tomorrow night. Thank you.
Well, it has been forever since we've been here, and I don't have my day paper, so I don't remember everything. I did attend the Adams County Homeless to Home Partnership meeting. This partnership was formed in 2008, and it's to end homelessness. It's very sad that each year the numbers increase of the amount of homeless people that we have in Adams County. But we have some very committed people that serve on those, so hopefully we can start to put a dent into that. And I also attended the NLC, attended the leadership luncheon the first day, and two of our council members, Renee Bullock and Mr. Benson, received awards at that luncheon, and I can't remember whether they were think Mr. Bullock got the Diamond Award. Is that correct? And Mr. Benson received 2 platinum and silver? Bronze and silver. So congratulations to both of them. And attended various workshops. There's a lot to be learned there, a lot to bring back. So thank you to everyone for giving me the opportunity to attend.
Mr. Benson?
Yes, thanks. Well, I guess our last meeting was November 22nd, so on the 23rd, we had our final real property task force meeting. And again, I want to commend Brian McBroom on his excellent facilitation of all of those meetings. I think the next step is that he and his staff will be making a presentation to the council in a couple of weeks about the recommendations of that task force. Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, Texas A&M beat the University of Texas, which is something that's worthwhile. We beat Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas in a 3-week period, and yet we still didn't win the conference for some reason. But we'll work that out. Amazing. The next week, we had the NLC, which started on November 30th, Tuesday, went to several workshops, and as Ms. Carson says, Mr. Bullock received his Diamond Award, which means he has, I think, at least 80 credits. I've only got about 40, so I would say we'll get my bronze and silver credits. You get these for going to the various workshops, so it shows that we are going to these things and not just going out and partying when we go to these events. I want to thank the city for sending us to these, and I agree with the sentiment that doing this in Denver is a lot more difficult because we are at least a half an hour from downtown. And you go downtown, you have to park and get a parking place and spend that much time just getting back and forth. It's a lot more trouble than being in another city and being in the same hotel as the conference or being maybe right across the street from it. It is a lot more difficult. We never have it here again, but I'm sure that will happen in the future. I also went to the CCBPA dinner last Friday night, and I would commend both Dominic and Kathy for their emceeing abilities at that event. I ended up buying one item. On Saturday, we had the football game, the Cops versus the Kids. We played the Adams City High School football team in a flag football game. And this was, they had the music on at the stadiums, at the new high school stadium with artificial turf. First time I ever played on that kind of artificial turf with cleats, and it was very good. It's a lot softer than landing on a hard ground when you fall down. And but the Cops won 22-14. I managed to get through the game with only a full groin muscle. No.
Hey, Paul didn't warm up.
No. Well, that's all right. More information. People were thinking I was going to be in the hospital after this game, and I was not. I was just limping a little bit. And with regard to this odor, I'm not going to explain. I've got an email that I can send to anybody. It's the odor of corn dogs. I'm not going to explain that, but it's because of me, and it's because of the fact that Texas A&M is playing LSU in the Cotton Bowl. If you want me to send you the email, I will. I can't explain it in 5 minutes, but that's all I have. Thank you. Mr. Reno?
Well, unlike Mr. Benson, that's one of the beautiful things about living in the South. I live about 10 minutes outside of downtown Denver, so it was the conference was all right for me. Sorry to overload staff. Obviously, we haven't been here in a while, so we can hear anything back from the community, and we just throw them all at you. Since we met last, I was in D.C. for a conference, the National Association of Latino Elected Officials. Attended their newly elected officials conference. It's weird to think of myself as a newly elected official when it's been a year, but it was valuable information, and I appreciate the opportunity to go. Had a great meeting with Mr. Cordero with Suncor regarding their continued support of Derby, and hoping to see a great collaboration with them in the future. And just another plug for the Cultural Council Art Show next week on Monday, immediately preceding the council meeting from 5 to 6:30. There'll be good stuff to eat, and you get to see artwork from students who are on District 14. So we'll just see you all there.
Just a couple of things. We've had some great articles in the newspaper lately. The one on Victory, and we had one, Habitat and Humanity, which this council approved not too many months ago, that they're going to finally get started on building those places. And hopefully we'll see more advertising on that so we can get out there and volunteer to do some of that work, which has been terrific. It's been so nice to see the good news stuff here about our city. I'm so glad that the Hub is starting to pick up some stuff we do, and paper. It's been terrific. So I was also at the Christmas party in LC, and if we never have it, well, we won't mind like something anyway, so it's probably going to be fine. One of the things that I did do over the last couple of weeks was I got an invite from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to go down and see a movie called Waiting for Superman. Every parent that has anything to do with school should see it. It is not a directive against every single school district. It's just showing what happens in some school districts. I made mention of seeing this, and I thought they were going to tar and feather me right there. It is a phenomenal movie and very well done. And it was supported by U.S. Chamber of Commerce and also by Metro Denver's Chamber of Commerce. I would definitely suggest anybody to see it, and don't react to it unless you've actually seen it. There's an awful lot of people out there giving it bad press who have never even, all they do is hear about it. As far as the calendar coming up, I'm just going to get the highlights. Tomorrow is Home for the Holiday Celebration. December 13th, the art show will be here. Mr. Marino, he will be in charge. Hopefully he will be the one that will make some kind of presentation at the beginning of the meeting for that. Sure. That would be terrific. Senior Forum on the 14th. Mr. Marino, that's also yours?
Yep.
Everybody's? Okay, it's everybody's. And that's going to be in Worth Manor. December 16th. Is this another employee of the year? Is that what that is at Vice Grill? This is a different one than the last one, right?
Yeah, we had to split it into two groups.
Okay. So, yeah, everybody's invited. It was wonderful the last time. And the senior birthday lunch is December 21st. If anybody has a chance to go down there. Please, I'm going to say, is there anything further to come before this board? But we have a GID meeting right after this that we can get through real quick. So if there's nothing further to come before this board, I will adjourn this one. And we'll just take a short minute to go into the GID agenda. Everyone. Okay. Yes. That's what they discussed in that. Oh, okay, thank you. I am ready. Okay, the Commerce City Northern Infrastructure General Improvement District meeting for December 6, 2010 will now come to order. City Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Moreno?
Here.
Mr. Benson?
Here.
Ms. Carson?
Here.
Ms. Peter?
Here.
Mr. McElhenney?
Here.
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Bullock?
Here.
Ms. Snyder?
Here, sorry.
And Mr. Ankrom.
Here.
Sorry, no.
Thank you. Two sets of minutes before the GID board this evening for approval. First set of minutes is for the meeting on October 18, 2010. Now entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Ms. Snyder?
Yes, move approval of the GID minutes of October 18th, 2010.
Mr. Bullock?
Second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of October 18, 2010. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, voice vote, please. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same. Motion passes. The second set of minutes this evening, the minutes of November 1st. I'll now entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Mr. McElhenney? Move to approve the minutes of November 1st, 2010. Mr. Marino?
Second motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of November 1st, 2010. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those, voice vote please. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Motion passes. Thank you. There's only one item under the consent agenda for this evening. If not, I'm going to do a motion to approve the consent agenda. Mr. McElhenney?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Marino? No, I'll hold you out there again.
Second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, will the city attorney please read the title of the items included on the consent agenda?
Title of ordinance GID 149-10, an ordinance accepting petitions for the inclusion of property within the City of Commerce City Northern Infrastructure General Improvement District and making certain findings and determinations and finding other details relating thereto.
That's it. Just seems like it just drops off. Okay, and a motion and a second. City attorney has read the title. Request a roll call vote.
Marino?
Aye.
Bullock?
Yes.
Benson?
Yes.
McElhenney?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Carson?
Yes.
Snyder?
Yes.
Dow?
Yes. Vote is 8-0. Motion passes. Consent agenda is approved. There be no further information. Business come before this board. Will be adjourned. Everybody drive safe. The thing I did forget to say is we got a really nice letter from CRL Associates about some of the articles we've had in the Post. It's nice being recognized by one of the biggest companies out there. You have stuff for me, I would imagine. I'll send it, but I won't send it to you.
I was wondering how you were doing. At least it wasn't a career ending.
Jim, did you see the slideshow? Did you see the slideshow of the football game? The slideshow. They sent us a slideshow just in
No, we need to stop that. We're actually